everyone, and welcome to another episode of Blogging ABCs. I'm one of your hosts, Deborah Carney, joined by my co-host,
Vinny O'Hare.
And today we have special guest James Martell. Welcome, James.
Hi, thanks, guys.
We've already done a Blogging ABCs about guest posting, but we want to go into it a little more deeply and talk about also article directories, which, you know, James and all of us have a little bit of experience with. So, James, why don't you start us out?
Well, guest blogging is one of these topics that is just emerging, as I see it. And I think over the next few years, we're going to see a real explosion in guest blogging. And as I see it, there's lots of opportunity for everybody involved, that being the blog owner, and that also being the writer or the content provider to that blog. But also, I can predict that 2 years from now, maybe 18 months, maybe 3 years from now, there's going to be another washout of many guest blogs in the Google index, very much in the same way that the article directories just got hammered a couple months ago. It doesn't have to happen to those that are getting engaged in guest blogging, and it's sure not going to happen to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I think quality is the name of the game for years now and going forward, and this really needs to be applied to guest blogging for sure.
I can agree with that.
Do you think that maybe we should distinguish between guest blogging and multi-author blogs? Because there's a lot of blogs that are multi-author blogs that are almost to the point of being article directories themselves.
Absolutely. And I think probably, I mean, you take a look at, I don't think we'll name any article directories. I think everybody probably knows who the big article directories are.
Right.
And that they lost up to
they all took a hit, yeah.
90% of their traffic because, as Google said, and if you can do a search for Matt Cutts talking about is article marketing something that you would recommend, and he actually flat out says it's not something that he would recommend, and the trend is definitely going away from that. But he mentions some of the reasons why. He says, for example, they'll say, well, you need an article that's 400 words in length, and boom, every article is 400 words in length.
Right.
And he says the quality is very low. It's not bringing any value add to the web, and there's just no level of quality there. And I think if we take that to heart, as I know many people have over the last few years, and many more over the last few months as they've had to readjust their content strategy, quality, whether it be an article directory, and I don't think they're going to recover personally,
I don't think
or
so
a guest blog. They have to, you have to be stringent. And I think a good conversation about maybe both sides of the equation. You've got the blog owner that needs and wants the content, and then you've got the writer that knows how to create that content for that blog owner, and of course they get a couple of backlinks in return for their efforts.
Well, and those backlinks are more valuable than the ones from an article directory at this point in time because blogs are more selective and your articles are going to be related to the blog topic and not just anything thrown in, which is a good point to make about authors that are about bloggers that might have a general blog, that they need to make sure that when they get their guest blog posts that they don't let someone write an article about cars on a site about coffee. They need to make sure that the guest posts are related to their own.
And
related somehow, unless it's a coffee maker you can put in the car. You've got to make sure that when you're guest blogging that your topics mesh. You're not doing something that's way out there.
I'm personally guest blogging on probably 25 to 30 different websites, all of them high quality. Every one of them holds their guidelines, up, meaning there's no way to sneak in a poorly written, vanilla flavored say nothing article like you would see in the article directories. Every one of these articles that I've been submitting are at least 800 words in length, many of them 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 words in length, each one of them well researched, well written, will never ever be called thin content. And I think when we kind of flip it over to what we see in the article directories, it's not uncommon to go into one of the article directories and do a little search for, let's say, a keyword phrase such as low interest credit card, and find 400 articles that are basically just, they're not duplicate, they're all unique, but they don't say anything. There's no story in them. There's no personal anecdotes. I know one thing about writing articles, and especially in some of these article directories, there's no story there. There's no person being mentioned. There's no place. There's no things. There's no events. There's nothing. It's just words on a page. Whereas the guest bloggers, the smart ones that keep us writers on our toes, will force us and continue to increase their guidelines, where we're having to make sure that we're doing the research, spending half an hour researching the topic that we're writing about, pouring the words onto the page, getting our thoughts organized, then sitting down and carefully crafting an article in our own words from scratch that's completely 100% unique to them. And I think as long as we stay in that style of writing, and the guest bloggers hold everybody accountable for creating unique, interesting, high quality, well-researched content, I don't see us ever running into problems.
Well, and I agree with that. I know that Vinny guest blogs for a couple of different websites,
right?
And I don't.
It's funny. The racing website that I blog for, I actually give them better quality content than I put on my own website.
Yes.
Well, because it's more, your websites
I feel like I'm more under pressure for that too,
Right, and it's a really high quality website, so you want to make sure that you're going to be able to stay a blogger there. And they require a post every 3 weeks,
something like that.
So it's kind of a multi-blog, kind of a multi-author blog, but it is a guest post. So I guess that's one of the things I wanted to bring up, is that there are some blogs that, like Mashable.com, they are a multi-author blog, and they have a lot of unique content. But what we're recommending people do is not just get into another blog as a regular contributor, as a regular weekly contributor, but do guest posts on specific things that are targeted just for that other blog, just to get yourself some backlinks, help them out with content, and give people a different point of view.
And it's the backlinks that are so valuable. In addition to that, also we get the opportunity to get ourselves in front of a whole other audience. I know on some of the guest blogs that I'm posting on, it's not uncommon at all to have, if you do a good job in the article and you really share some valuable information, to have that guest blog retweeted 30, 40, 50 times, to have 50, 60, 70 comments come in below the post. So it really does get us in front of a brand new group of people that may be interested in exactly what we have to offer. And the backlinks these days are probably more important. They've always been very important, but nowadays there's a lot of confusion over backlinks, and should I be doing social media? Where do the backlinks come in? I mean, let's face it, to get to the top of Google, it's still backlinks. There's some other factors and signals they're starting to look at, but it's all very early on. Right now, and probably for the next few years, it's still going to be, the vast majority will be backlinking.
I think backlinks will still be a big part of it, even if they bring in social and all that stuff too.
Well, because the backlinks are there not only to get you link juice and everything, but they actually send you visitors from that other blog.
Right, which is why you wrote the post in the first place.
Right.
I know students of our boot camp, the ones that really take to getting what I call PAD articles, professional articles, distributed to other high quality websites, I can tell you pretty much almost every time, those that have really gone after getting the articles out, spending their time working on somebody else's website, getting an article on their site, not your own. We can put articles on our own site all day long, and we get some benefit out of that, and we should be regularly contributing to our own sites. But those that have gone out and really dug in and taken the time to get high quality articles out on other websites, I can tell you, the students of mine that are making 5 figures a month, all have around 125 to 150 articles out on the net working on their behalf, all linking back into their sites. And it seems to be that's about the number. If you want to get a site up to 10,000 plus per month, that's has to be done.
Okay, and that's what people thought initially that article directories did. But when you think about it, if you find an article in an article directory, it's because somebody wants to put it on their website, or it isn't targeted. It's where people go to just get fluff content to fill in, like when they're building a site and they don't have any of their own content yet and they just want stuff there. The quality of the articles in the article directories are low simply because they only popped them up there to try and get a backlink.
Just to get the backlink.
Yeah, and they didn't do it to actually fulfill a need.
And then they actually get the backlink on websites like 1274645.blogspot.com. That's not going to do them much good.
It's funny. I was watching that video with Matt Cutts. To find it, all you need to do is a search for the heading of the video, and it's only 2 minutes long, and it's definitely worth listening to. It's called "Do You Recommend Article Marketing as an SEO Strategy?" And he basically, in 2 minutes or less, dismantles this whole idea of article marketing, and he goes into detail on why you probably don't want to do this. And he says, if I had to make a prophecy or a forecast about how Google and other search engines feel about article marketing in general, he says, he just talks, the trend I'm hearing and the sort of complaints that I'm hearing are that people are not huge fans of article marketing and don't view it as a credible or incredible value add in terms of content that gets added to the web. And I got a chuckle out of that, because here's Matt Cutts in charge of Google spam department saying, if I was to make a prophecy, well, he is the guy that tunes all this up. If he says, if I was looking to the future a little bit, this is probably not going to be such a good idea.
Well, and the other thing that we need to address a little bit is that, like I'm a blogger, and I've had my own blog for 3 years, and I've never let anybody guest post, and I'm like terrified. Why should I let someone else put their content on my website? And you need to break down that barrier. And like I mentioned before, different voices help give new vitality to a blog.
I feel exactly the same way. I'm very protective of what goes on to my site, but we've been accepting guest blogs on jamesmartell.com, and as you said, Vinny, when it seems that I know the articles that I write or that I place on other sites are very, very good, and in many cases better than even the articles on my own site. So I think a lot of people probably feel that if they're going to contribute to your site, Deborah, they're going to, be very attentive to making sure that they give you what you want.
Well, and I think part of that is that, on your website, you're comfortable. You know your visitors. You know who's looking at your website. When you go out, like Vinny giving to the racing fans, you want to go out onto that racing site and give them your best foot forward so you can bring their community to your community. You want them to see you as an expert and that they want to now go back to your own website and see what else you've had to say.
On the topic of making sure that they're providing the content that our visitors really want. One of the guest posts that came into my site, let me just look at the date, March the 15th, is written by a gentleman who owns a website called financialmentor.com named Todd Tressiter. He retired when he was 35 years old, completely financially independent, and he's just got a dynamite website that he talks about how he did it. Just a fabulous blog. But in the article that he wrote, I would have never covered off this information because he comes from a financial planning background.
Right.
And he actually, the title of the article is How Your Affiliate Business is Like $1 Million Retirement Plan. And he talks about even a website that's making just $100 a month is equivalent to having a $30,000 retirement savings account, because that's how much you would need in interest to pay you $100 a month. So you kind of put
that's interesting. I like
isn't it?
I like that. And I did see you tweet that out, and I didn't have time to read it. But see, there you go. It's something from a different perspective, but it's on your topic. So it brings new, vitality to your blog to have someone talking about that. And from a point of view that you would never thought of.
No, it's true, and I don't have a background, in the area that he does. Then you come in and you see all the comments and conversation that happened in below that. It just took a very simple idea that he knows thoroughly. He wrote the article, and now I have an absolutely beautiful piece of content on my website.
That's great. And that's why we allow a lot. That's part of the thing. Like, we do podcasts, and we do several of them, and we try to have guests more often than just having Vinny and I.
Oh yeah, because me and you could talk all day long, but a different perspective is totally
right. And not only that, but people like to hear a different voice, and people like to hear that it isn't just Vinny and Debbie's opinion. It is actual fact, because James Martell agrees with it also, and he makes money as an affiliate. So when we go and talk to people, we have other voices that are supporting what we say. And that's what your guest blogging is doing as well. It's supporting what you have to say and taking things out into a new direction that you might not have thought of. And now that brings to you, as the blog owner, more ideas, or that you want to reach out to other people that will bring in other ideas like that as well. And it makes your site even more of an authority site.
And keep in mind, we do have final say whether that article actually goes live on the site or not. So we're
absolutely.
Not giving them just carte blanche, come in and start posting away. They publish the article as a draft, and then we get to go in and have a look at it, go through it, and if we feel that it's right for our audience, we get hit the publish button then. But if it's not, no harm, no foul, because they have that article still. They can go publish it somewhere else. It may have just not have been a fit for our site.
Yep. And that's just what's really important, is that when you're looking for guest bloggers, like I know a mom that blogs about going green. She's not going to have a guest post from someone who throws away everything and, doesn't recycle and all that. Runs the air conditioner 24/7 and that kind of thing. She wants other people on her blog that are going to talk about a green lifestyle. So if someone submits the wrong kind of post, she's just going to politely say, no, thank you. And then they can go send it to an article directory because it wasn't good enough to go on someone's blog.
The other thing too, from the blog owner's perspective on that side, we're talking from the writer, but on the other side, because I've been guest blogging on so many guest blogs, I can see, what the good ones are doing right, and I can sure see what the bad ones are doing wrong. And just a few things, if I may put my wish list out there to anybody who has a guest blog, to give you some hints, if I could, to attract quality writers like Vinny and Deborah and myself and others. Give us some attention. I see some of them, they just don't respond to emails, or we send them a note that says, hey, I'd like to be a guest blogger. Here's our credentials. I think we could do a really good job for your audience. And real nice little email. And then we'll ask them for, and you can see they're using WordPress or a blogging platform of some sort. We ask them for, give us our own login. Of course, you can set it to draft so it doesn't publish automatically. But if you want to attract really good guest bloggers, take care of them. Really, okay, we're going to create great content for your site ongoing. I mean, these articles, you'd easily spend $50 to $100 per article to have an article written like the one Todd Tressiter posted on my site. No question about it, to have that level of quality. So when a guest blogger comes knocking, pay attention. Really pay attention, because you may have a content provider there that can provide you an article a week or two a month for the next 2 or 3 years, which could be worth thousands of dollars just in what it would cost you to have those articles written, but not to mention all the extra pages and exposure that you now have online, because you sat up and said, okay, I'm going to give this guy his own login. I'm going to answer his questions. I'm going to schedule his posts so they're not just sitting in there as draft for 3 weeks and not communicating with the guy. I want to say, okay, I like the article. It looks great. I've got it scheduled for 3 weeks from now on this date. all that kind of stuff. So just really good communication with the guest bloggers, and really understand when they come knocking, it's like good. We need some of these guys and gals.
Right. And that's really good to point out. I mean, we have some places where you can go find, like Blogger Link Up and, some other Haro where, you'll see people asking for people to come blog for them. And those are good places. But it sounds to me like you just go out on the web and you find sites that are covering information that you want to cover, and you're cold calling, basically.
That's right. We're looking, well, it is cold calling in a way, but not in the way that it used to be. Early on, before this whole guest blogging trend emerged, we'd have to seek out a website and contact them and say, hey, we'd like to create an article for you. It's going to be of this quality. It'll be this topic. And all we require is a couple of backlinks or a couple of links in the article. That was cold calling, and it was more difficult because you get an email back from a webmaster that says, okay, you want to give me an article for free? Why? And they don't even understand that a backlink is valuable. So
right.
It was a long climb to get them up to speed that, hey, these links are valuable to us and the article will be great. And you'd have to go through a lot of numbers to find the right person. Today, I just do a search for guest bloggers, and then I go look at their guidelines page. So now, instead of us pitching them, they've already got all of the guidelines of the types of articles
right.
they're looking for. Their contact information is right there. Whether they answer you or not is another thing. Most of them do, and some of them are very attentive, but some are not. But it's much easier to find them these days.
Okay, great idea. Then there you go, bloggers. Go put up a page that tells visitors to your site that you're open to guest posts and what type of posts they should be, and stick a little comment box at the bottom so that they can send you their idea, and you're off and running. So, all right, well, we've about hit our time limit. We like to keep these short so that you guys don't get bored with us. James, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find, of course, my own personal site, jamesmartell.com, and we're always looking for guest bloggers as well. And you can also pick up our podcast there, and also learn more about our Affiliate Marketers Bootcamp over at affiliatemarketersbootcamp.com.
And we're going to be doing more blogging ABCs about affiliate marketing because, as Vinny found out at Blog World recently,
not many people know what affiliate marketing even is.
Right, and it's a way to monetize your blog, and we'll be teaching you more about how to do that. You can find the show notes for this show at bloggingabcs.com. And Vinny, where can people find you?
You can find me at vinnyohair.com or Twitter/VinnyOhair.
And you can find me at twitter.com/Loxley, LOXLY, or DeborahCarney.com, and that's DEBOREH and CARNEY. Both of those names can be spelled so much differently.
Yeah, you get all different varieties.
Or you can do a search for Deborah Carney, and I'm not the realtor and I'm not the artist.
Which tells me you need to get more guest posts up there.
I got to get more guest posts.
So this way you go 1 through 10.
Right. So thanks, everyone, for listening. We also like to thank Geekcast.fm for hosting our shows. And if you found us on iTunes, please come to bloggingabcs.com and leave a comment. Tell us where you're guest posting. Tell us blogs that we can put guest posts on. And everybody have a great day. Thanks for listening.